Welcome back to another edition of Phillies Stat Line. We're jumping right into this explainer today, taking a high-frequency deep dive straight into the metrics that are absolutely moving the needle across Philadelphia's four major sports franchises. The winter postseasons are totally wrapped up, but man, the heat is just getting turned up. We've got massive regular season turbulence down at Citizens Bank Park, and behind closed doors, front office executives are literally working overtime to solve some huge upcoming draft and coaching formulas.
So, looking at the calendar, today is Saturday, June 20th, 2026. This date is absolutely crucial. It's a fascinating midsummer pivot point, right? We are right at that intersection where baseball hits the notoriously volatile dog days of summer, while at the exact same time, basketball, football, and hockey war rooms are scrambling to crack their own formulas. This date is, without a doubt, the inflection point for the entire Philadelphia sports calendar.
To break it all down, we're taking a four-corners approach today. We'll start with the Phillies' midsummer volatility. Then check out the Eagles' spring tracking metrics. Slide over to the Sixers' NBA draft blueprint and wrap up with the Flyers' plan for injecting offensive volume.
All right, let's head down to Citizens Bank Park for Section 1, Phillies, Midsummer Volatility.
Don Mattingly's squad is really trying to find its defensive equilibrium right now, navigating some massive regular season turbulence. I mean, talk about a volatile homestand. It's been a total mixed bag of high-scoring explosions one day and sudden defensive collapses the next. Just look at how the week started, an absolute masterclass. On Monday, June 15th, they pitched a flawless 7-0 shutout against Miami. They brought that exact same juice on Tuesday with a highly efficient offensive display, rolling to an 8-2 blowout win. But, you know, baseball is a game of immediate corrections. Wednesday afternoon was a harsh reality check. The Marlins completely flipped the script, exploding for a 12-4 rout with high-volume extra base hits and, honestly, exposing some really uncharacteristic placement errors in our outfield. Then, looking to bounce back against the Mets on Thursday night, a late-inning offensive drought ultimately cost them a tight 6-4 defeat. It's just wild. Flawless execution one night, totally lost the next.
Which brings us to the overall record, 39-34. The Fightin' Phils are still keeping their heads above water, holding on to second place in the National League East. But as they look to even things up against New York tonight at 7:15 Eastern, situational pitching metrics are going to be the ultimate deciding factor. Can they actually execute in those high-leverage moments? That's what you've got to watch for tonight.
Moving off the diamond, let's head to the gridiron for Section 2, Eagles' spring tracking metrics. Over at the NovaCare Complex, mandatory minicamp is officially a wrap. The guys are scattered for the summer, but the internal tracking metrics coming out of those spring workouts, they are giving analysts a ton to digest ahead of training camp. The big story right now centers around the offensive line. Star left tackle Jordan Mailata dropped a super revealing quote about the massive transition under new O-line coach Chris Cooper. He said it feels like a rookie all over again. Seriously, Mailata admitted the whole unit is completely pushed out of its old comfort zone. These new schematic shifts and technical concepts are basically forcing veterans to relearn their baselines from the ground up.
And the data department is tracking all these specific summer adjustments. The staff is aggressively using these spring reps to mold an offensive front that can actually handle the model look of Sean Mannion's updated playbook. Speaking of rookies and updates, we also got an inside look at first-round pick Makai Lemon's first official practice sequences rocking that number 9 jersey. Let me tell you, the athletic data guys are incredibly encouraged by his initial route-running numbers. Shifting over to the defense, there's a major internal promotion to talk about. Former safeties coach Joe Casper has officially been named the new defensive passing game coordinator. Under defensive coordinator Vic Fangio, this is a huge signal that they are laser-focused on correcting those secondary tracking metrics that completely plagued the team late last winter.
Pivoting over to the basketball front office, we arrive at Section 3, Sixers NBA Draft Blueprint.
Okay, so the 2026 NBA Draft is literally under a week away, and new president of basketball ops Mike Gansey is working the phones hard to maximize that 22nd overall pick. With Quentin Grimes heading into free agency and Kyle Lowry approaching the twilight of his career, scouting reports are screaming that the Sixers need guard depth and perimeter shooting. Because of that, two names are gaining massive traction in the analytics department right now. First up, Texas Tech sophomore Christian Anderson Jr. His metrics are just fascinating. He's putting up 18.5 points a night, shooting a spectacular 41.5% from deep, and dishing out a conference-leading 7.4 assists. Sure, his height, coming in under 6'1", is absolutely a defensive variable. But get this, he has a 6'6.25" wingspan. That length, plus a relentless defensive motor, perfectly fits the baseline profile Gansey utilized to build those gritty playoff benches back in Cleveland. On the flip side, you've got Xavier transfer Dalen Swain surfacing on mock boards. He's a versatile 6'7" scoring prospect pulling down 7.5 boards and dropping 17.3 points. Both guys fit the need, but they bring entirely different physical toolkits to the table.
Which all leads to the million-dollar question. Do they keep the cost-controlled asset at 22, or do they package it for a veteran contract? Gansey's execution path right there on the draft floor is going to dictate his entire strategy going into free agency. It's a domino effect that will completely shape the roster for the upcoming season. Finally, let's take a quick trip over to the ice for Section 4, Flyers, injecting offensive volume. The Flyers front office is in the final stages of sorting out their boards for the upcoming NHL entry draft. After a highly stable developmental timeline and that solid second-round playoff exit this past season, they are armed with multiple picks. And their analytics staff, they have a clear mission. They are heavily weighing specific criteria, primarily prioritizing high-danger finishing traits. They aren't just looking for well-rounded prospects this time. They specifically want to inject pure offensive volume and goal-scoring ability directly into the pipeline. They need finishers who can actually convert when things get messy in high-traffic areas. Now, as we wrap up this intense summer evaluation period, I gotta point out a pretty fun parallel. On the field, we are tracking run differentials, obsessing over draft boards, and breaking down coaching shifts. But off the field, true Philly fandom never cools down, even in this summer heat. If you're looking to rep the city in style with some seriously identity-driven athletic gear, you absolutely have to check out the best 215 streetwear available at inkq.shop/product/category/Philly streetwear. That's INKIQ.shop. It is, hands down, the perfect way to bring that relentless Philly energy wherever you go this summer.
So I want to leave you with this provocative final thought to mull over today. Which Philadelphia front office is actually best positioned to capitalize on this critical summer evaluation period? Is it the Phillies trying to stabilize on the diamond? The Eagles completely reinventing their trenches? The Sixers reshaping their bench at the draft? Or the Flyers hunting for pure goal scorers? Think about that as these storylines unfold this week. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer of the Phillies stat line. Keep your eyes on the data, and we will see you next Saturday for another high-frequency analytics update.